Hello. I've got an interesting topic for you today. Um, this is something that I figured out when I was 21 or 20, probably 21. And it's just something I worked out myself. It's almost more based on the English language than it is on actual factors of what makes things the way they are. But it's a pretty solid system, and it's the best thing I have to work with right now. And I think even if it doesn't sum up all mentality perfectly, I think it does a pretty good job of summing up the words we use to describe mentality in the English language. And even if it's not a perfect system to use, it would still be a pretty good basis or foundation or starting point to build up to an even better system if you can work out the parts that might not make sense. But as far as when I was 21, this is how it made sense to me, and it still sort of does. I just think I think it's possible to have a better system, but this is pretty good. So I'm not trying to make this intro too long. It's already been 1 minute and 27 seconds, so I'll just try to get into it. So what I'm dealing with today is smartness. Now you might be thinking, Ray, why did you say smartness? Why didn't you say intelligence? Well, that's because intelligence is not the only kind of smartness. And I don't know another word for this aside from mentality, but this doesn't have so much to do with the way you think or thinking in general or just the mind as it does to do with actual being smart or being not smart. So I used to just say smart, but now I say smartness because it's a little easier to understand even though it's not a word. So smartness basically has 3 components. Basically you have wisdom, knowledge, and intelligence. Those are the 3 ingredients or elements that make up the smartness of you and all the people in the world and any animals, trees, rocks, slugs, snails, anything. Anything that has any kind of ability to process information will have some form of smartness. So firstly you have intelligence. I don't like looking at myself in the camera when I'm doing this. I'm trying. It's just sort of distracting. Let's see. Intelligence. So intelligence is the simplest one. It's just a number. You got 0% intelligence. You cannot interpret. You cannot mentally perceive. You can't do mentally really anything. If you have no intelligence, you have no ability to process information. If you have 100% intelligence, you can do anything, intellect-wise. You can process any information, you can understand any concept, you have an unlimited amount of mental force, you can know anything, you can understand anything, there's nothing that's too puzzling for you. And if you have 50% intelligence, then basically you have just enough ability to get by, just enough ability to get things done, just enough ability to interpret things in general, but not have like a full conception of them. So myself, I think I'd like to be around a 70, of course. Ideally, I would like to one day reach 100% intelligence, but I'm not sure if that's possible. 70, 75, 72, 76, anything in that area seems about right to me. But that's just me. Then secondly, after intelligence, you have knowledge. So knowledge is like a toolbox. Each thing you know, each piece of knowledge you have is a different tool that you can use in a different way. The more knowledge you have, the more things you have at your disposal. But if you don't have the right knowledge, then it doesn't matter how much of it you have. If you don't have the right tool for the job, you can't get that job done. So if you don't have the right knowledge for the type of thinking you're trying to do, then it's not going to matter how much intelligence you have. If you can't do it, you can't do it. Now, sometimes you can substitute a different kind of knowledge or a different tool for the same job. And in those cases, it would definitely help to have extra intelligence, because intelligence is the strength. Intelligence is the arm that swings the tool. The stronger an arm you have, the less work the tool has to do. And the better the tool is for the job, the less strength you need to swing it. So, knowledge and intelligence play into each other in that way. And then wisdom is a little bit different. Wisdom is the third one. Wisdom isn't so much a power or a weakness. It could be seen as a tool, but not in the same way as knowledge where you can gain tools and lose tools. Wisdom is your judgment skill, your ability to tell whether something's a good idea or a bad idea. The more wisdom you have, the easier it is to judge whether something is worthy or unworthy, whether it's bad or good, whether it's right or wrong, whether it's dark or light, whether it's black or white, whether it is green, blue, purple, orange, red, doesn't matter. The more wisdom you have, the easier it is to tell two things apart or to tell what's the same about two things. Again, intelligence is just the strength of your mental capability, whereas wisdom is the ability to differentiate. It's also the ability to tell when two things are similar, so it has the ability to compare and contrast. Again, it can be summed up by just saying judgment. Not necessarily the type of judgment you'd see in a courtroom, but sometimes that could be the case. That would still be considered wisdom. A lower wisdom would yield a less appropriate judgment, and a higher wisdom would yield a better judgment. Wisdom is not so much up and down as intelligence is, but a higher wisdom will give you more capability to judge properly. But there are different kinds of wisdom, and they apply to all different situations, and this is where wisdom ties in with knowledge. If you have wise knowledge, if you have collected memories of wisdom, then again that tool comes into play, and the more you know how to use a particular tool, the more it can aid your use of that tool, and then the more you have a tool that can be used by the types of wisdom you do have, the less work in terms of the amount of will you put towards that wisdom is necessary. Okay, so you got wisdom, knowledge, and intelligence, which is your brain's power is intelligence, your toolbox is knowledge, and your judgment skill is wisdom. So, I just wanted to share that with you because I'm sitting here in my apartment and felt like I had nothing to do. I sat there on the phone with my friend not saying anything because I couldn't think of what to say. And finally we decided to hang up, and I just felt useless. So I thought of that as something I could do with my time, something that would make me feel useful, and something that might even help somebody else. So I hope you enjoy that, and this video is now 8 minutes and 30 seconds, which means it's going to take forever to upload, which means I won't be able to use my internet for a while. So back to being bored. Bye-bye.